Well, good evening, West Virginia. I am Sarah BNWV, your social navigator for tonight, Monday with Mountain Mamas. Good evening, ladies.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. So let's just start right out from the gate saying a tribute to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the notorious RBG, who in a large part is a big reason why we are all sitting here today, why we are able to have the rights that we do. And she was an icon. And not only was she a brilliant jurist or judge, a brilliant law professor, and just brilliant in terms of understanding the law, she was also very kind, very dedicated to family. Um, she's got so many quotes that I love that, about her, but also her and Scalia's relationship, even though they were polar opposites, they got along so well. And she said congeniality was a really important part of the job on the bench. And so when I heard about this on Friday night, I was absolutely heartbroken. And I know all of you ladies join me in the same. We've got delegate. In fact, you know what we're going to do? We're going to have everybody introduce themselves, and then we'll come back to what we were talking about. DL, you want to introduce yourself, and then we'll go to Nikki?
Sure. DL Hamilton. I'm the president of Mountain Mamas PAC, and thanks to the inspiration of Kathy Ferguson, she and I quickly put together a vigil on Saturday night, joining hundreds, maybe thousands of vigils at courthouses throughout the country to honor Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Vigils were also held in West Virginia, in Beckley, Lewisburg, Huntington, and Morgantown. And someone at that vigil informed me that because of her death at the end of the Jewish New Year, as people of Jewish faith were sitting down for their first Rosh Hashanah meal and learning of the death of this icon of women's and human rights, that is a very symbolic timing in the Jewish belief. It means that you are a righteous and saintly Jewish person who was needed until the very end of the year. And as we all know, she was needed then, she is still needed, and there's going to be a lot of work to do with her having passed, but there are a lot of Facebook pages up that talk about we are all RBG. There have been probably 100 Zooms today of organizations getting together to discuss the fact that Mitch McConnell, in a very hypocritical way, immediately started talking about getting a nomination to replace her. So as if we didn't have enough to do, the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg definitely adds to that list in a most important way, and will have an impact on people's decisions of who to vote for president. So please join a campaign. One of the many campaigns. There are many easy ways to write your West Virginia senators and implore them to follow what might have been a questionable precedent in 2016, but nonetheless, it is a precedent that we do not nominate and attempt to confirm United States Supreme Court justice this close to a presidential election. But so with that, I'd like to turn it over to Kathy, who spoke some on Saturday night, and she may want to speak again to the love and admiration that she had for this amazing jurist.
Okay. Oh, well, let me just check with Sarah because I know that you were saying something about introduction. Do you want us to just do an introduction, or can I go ahead and speak? Or
Why don't we do the introductions really quick? So everyone that's joining us live, thank you guys all for being here with us today and joining us for this conversation. But let's go to Nikki and then Barbara, you and Anna, and we'll just go in order of introductions. Nikki.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nikki Ardman, candidate for House of Delegates in District 38. And I'm hoping to win in about a month. And I'm kind of nervous, but, I'm hoping it's just coming across as excitement.
It's excitement. We're excited. We're excited. Right, Barbara?
Yes, I'm excited. I'm totally excited. Barbara Evans-Fleischauer, and I'm excited because for a short period of time, I was one of only 2 Democratic delegates in the House out of 100. And now we have 8, and I want to have a whole bunch more. And I think all of these women who are here with us this evening would be wonderful additions. And I want to thank Sarah and DL for hosting this evening. I want to make sure that these 3 women have a real opportunity to shine this evening. Nikki, the 38th is where?
That is part of Plains and into Putnam County, past Tees Valley, touching on to Hurricane.
Because most people don't know what the districts are. I'm from I don't think they do. You say 38th and that, most people are. This is sort of inside baseball, what the district. I'm from District 51, but if I tell people that it's most of Monongalia County, that makes more sense. And yours is a single or how many member district is yours?
1 delegate.
1 delegate. Ours is a 5 delegate, and I like that. But so who's next?
That would be Kathy Ferguson.
All right.
hello, everybody. My name is Kathy Ferguson. I'm running for West Virginia House of Delegates in the 35th District. And before you ask me, Barbara, I will just offer to everyone that is a territory that starts in what is commonly known as Upper Falls or Tornado, and it runs all the way down McCorkle Avenue through St. Albans, through the unincorporated township of Jefferson, into a little bit of a town we call Spring Hill, South Charleston proper, up to South Hills, which is the part of Charleston, and Kanawha City. That's on the south side of the river. And then on the north side, it runs down Route 25 from Nitro to Dunbar. And that also includes the unincorporated district of Institute. So that's my hometown. That's where I'm reporting from live today. And I will pass it over to Anna.
Hi, I'm Anna Lewis. I am running for the House of Delegates in District 16, which is Cabell County, part of Cabell County, and part of Lincoln County. Cabell County's sort of big. It has 3 different districts, and I'm running in the 16th, and it catches part of our downtown, part of the outskirts of our city, and then it heads up into Lesage through Milton, and then swings back around into Lincoln County. And it's pretty diverse. We have many people on both ends of the spectrum as far as our socioeconomic issues. So it can be difficult sometimes for us to get together on the issues, but I'm willing to try.
Hey, that's a major step right there, is trying, and we need more people to try. So again, those of you that are joining us live, thank you so much for being here. If you're on the replay, we're so glad to have you as well. If you have questions for the delegates and the candidates that are with us tonight, please feel free to just jump right in and ask those questions. This is your opportunity to get to know some of the candidates that are running for the state legislature. West Virginia has the lowest number of women in the legislature throughout the nation. We are at the bottom again. So we need to get more women elected. As RGB, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, said, women belong in all places, where decisions are being made. And since West Virginia has more women and children than men, it seems to reckon that we should probably be there. DL, what do you got to say about that?
I agree. I was trying to see on Facebook. I was trying to get this on Facebook. Also, we got really last minute updated voter information that I was trying to get ready for. But getting more women in the legislature is the reason for Mountain Mamas, and we increased it from 2 to 8 last time, which means 400%, but one of those decided to let go of her seat and run for the county commission. So there'll be 7 returning Mountain Mamas. There are 21 total from Cabell County to the Eastern Panhandle, from Ohio County to Mercer in the south of West Virginia. And we hope that every one of them will be on here on one of these Mountain Mama Mondays, but you can go to mountainmamawv.org, and all 21 of them have a page, and you can learn more about all 21 candidates running as Mountain Mamas. And there's also just this blank white face that we hope will be one of you, especially in the central part of West Virginia, or just in any of the districts that will be new districts in 2022. So our motto is 8 is not enough, and we want even more then. So go to the website and do everything you can to get the 7 that will be returning as Mountain Mamas, to have more Mountain Mamas sitting in that chamber in 2021.
And just to clarify, that website is mtnmamaswv.org, correct?
Yes, but you could also just type in mountainmamaswv.org and it gets you there.
Awesome! I learned something new today.
One thing that accomplished.
Well, as we started off talking this evening about the significant loss of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Kat, I'd like to go to you. I know that you represented Mountain Mamas this weekend at the vigil in Kanawha County. Talk to us about that and the feelings, the emotions, the people that were there. Share with us what happened.
But before she starts, can you get that picture up of the altar that we've been? But I just want to direct people's attention to the sign behind me, because that was one that I brought with me so that I could show you all. But another one stayed there with notes of gratitude to her, and it was the most still night. I mean, you could have a lit candle that just kept its flame. As you see, it was 1933 to 2020, 87 years. And so the crowd was as still as the night, and we were silent for 87 seconds, just in homage to this great woman. So, go on.
All right. Well, I'm pulling that up. So if you want to just go right ahead there, Kat, as soon as it pulls up, I'll add it.
Okay. I think that DL captured the evening pretty succinctly. I mean, at the end of the day, to receive that news was definitely heartbreaking. I could not believe it. And it was, it was one of those moments where you feel a sense of loss, and, with everything that's happening in the world, just the fact that she was still on the bench, even maybe not being as healthy and as active, it just felt like there was an advocate for the people, in particular for women, just there. And so, with her passing, it was just kind of like, all the air let out of a tire or a balloon. It just kind of that gasp. But then you have to reflect and think about the fact that she kept rising. And that was actually one of the songs that we played at our vigil, was Rise Up by Andra Day. And it really, I think, captured her spirit, because here's a woman who had fought the good fight, just early on in her career for gender equity and equality. She just did so many great things. And then, of course, her famous descents, and just being a cultural icon and a socio-political icon for generations of people, and again, particularly for women. And the millennials and the Gen Zers who have recently come to know her through the film. There's all this outpouring of love and respect, and I certainly had those same thoughts as well. And I reached out to DL, and I was like, I think the Mountain Mamas should really take the lead in trying to do something to commemorate her life, her legacy, and all that she gave. And so we kind of put together, a very quick program. And coincidentally, the Women's March was actually organizing women all across the country. So it fit right in. And of course, Mountain Mamas and the mission of women supporting women is, pretty much a cornerstone of what the Honorable Ruth Bader Ginsburg, was all about. And so everything was a perfect storm, so to speak. But it was certainly bittersweet. But you have to respect and understand that throughout her tenacity and throughout the challenges with her health, she kept rising up and giving back and giving back. And at a certain point, that has to come to a close. And we have to be okay with that. We have to be okay with the fact that, prayerfully she's in a better place and that she can look, on us, from up high, or however way you think that things work. And know that she's still with us in spirit, and that we're carrying her memory. And she certainly, represented tons of women. She certainly wasn't the only advocate for women and a champion that we had, but she certainly was the biggest figurehead, that we were able to look at on a continual and consistent basis, with her presence on the bench. So I will also just kind of add to that, my mom was a contemporary of hers. They were in law school at the same time. And my mother had a lot of admiration for her. And just like a quick little anecdote, it's just very interesting, because when we're talking about the big push for ERA, and I remember being a young girl and, sitting in front of the television and, seeing women picket and my mom was in law school, and she would have us at the law library and, saying shh while she's trying to study, and, the things that women have to kind of do. We've got to take care of business, but we also have to take care of our families. And, long bus rides home, we didn't have a car. And then when we were reunited with my father, who was here in West Virginia, kind of getting things set up for us, and my mom couldn't drive. My dad had to take her to work every day and pick her up every day. And, finally she was just like, okay, this is ridiculous. And he didn't go out of his way to help her learn how to drive. But she hooked up with one of her, in fact, you went to school with her, DL. She hooked up with Eunice Green. And Eunice helped her learn how to drive. And not only did she help her learn how to drive, she also was like, I can teach you how to get a car. And I'll never forget the look on all of our faces when we came home and we saw this convertible Chevrolet. We're like, what in the world is this? And my mom was styling and profiling. You couldn't tell her anything, It was hers. It was a nice little, conversation between she and my father. But one of the things that it showed and demonstrated to me is that, you can't let those kind of circumstances dictate your future. And she doesn't have to ask for permission. And my mom was significantly younger than my father. So my father was, in a whole different, kind of generation. And so anyway, it's just very, very, very interesting. And I look back on that time and really what it meant to all young women. And I certainly wouldn't be here if it weren't for women that paved the way in that respect. So I was happy to, commit to that commemoration. It was a very solemn experience, and we wanted it to be subdued and dignified, because we know that there is going to be a fight. There is a lot more that we have to do. There is going to be a lot of conversation. There is already, of course, politicization of this. And that's when we need to come together and, come together for action. And just a couple of last parting comments. One of the things that I was very sure about was the fact that in terms of what Congress has to do, whether or not he, who shall not be named, advances a nominee or what have you, at the end of the day, we've got to make sure that the people who are suffering right now, we have not had another stimulus. There has not been anything, no, overtures to small business. We have, had a little bit of a moratorium on evictions. There's so many things we, have not passed the HEROES Act. We haven't done anything with the money from the CARES Act that we have here in the state. Like, we have got to get money into the hands of people who need it to feed their families and to be able to contribute to this economy that they want to save. And to make sure that teachers are protected in school. Like, we've got to be able to take care of those things. And to me, that's first and foremost before we even get into having somebody on the bench. And then the second thing I would say is that I think we have to be very careful, and I think we have to be attentive to the fact that given what we know is a possibility in terms of appeals of decisions from appeals of decisions of the results of the election and that type of thing, to have somebody who weeks before appoint somebody to the bench, and then if they decide that they're going to appeal their loss or fight an appeal for a win, that there's somebody there who is a little conflicted in the sense that they were just put onto the bench. So I think we have to be sensitive to those things. And I am certainly advocating that, we pause any replacement of Her Honor in her place on that Supreme Court. I just think that it's something that we have to be cognizant of. And again, we mourn, we celebrate, but now we fight. And that's what I'll say about that.
I think
So sorry to be so long-winded.
No, it's so beautifully said, and I think you hit on something so important. We're also, if we haven't already, lost 200,000 people to COVID, and we still have no national health plan that we've been promised now for weeks. And so now all of a sudden, the issues that are important to Americans are being pushed on the back burner so they can rush into this and basically stack the courts to their favor instead of listening to the American people. And I'm going to throw this out because I've seen a lot of this stuff on social media since Friday. There is a distinction when you get ready to go vote. There is a distinction between policy and religion. Policy is law. It is the measures that we have to abide by when it comes to policy. Church is how you live your life by whatever religious affiliation you have. But the two are very different things. So I would just encourage people when you're talking about these things to look at them very differently. They are not one and the same. So anyway, Barbara, did you have a event up there in Morgantown?
Yes, we did, and it was very, very nice too. But I'm just figuring out that I know Kathy's mother.
Uh-oh.
Well, I didn't make the connection.
Oh, that's a good thing.
It is a wonderful thing. I just didn't put the pieces together. Yes, we had a very nice ceremony in Morgantown. It was very serious. There was a nice crowd. It was a nice evening. And, it was very emotional. She was such a rock star, both as a litigator and as a judge. And she was on the court for such a long time, thank goodness. But like you said, Kathy, I guess, there comes a time and we need to let her go. But we had a very nice ceremony in Morgantown. It was very meaningful. But I do tonight, I want to actually, now that I've heard that about Kathy, what I want to hear more about all of you, because I think it's really important for the listeners to know who each of you are and what kind of background. I mean, that was really interesting, hearing about your mom not driving, and then and your dad and going on buses and stuff like that. That would, like for your background, I thought that was really neat. And I want to hear about each of you before the evening goes by. Kathy or Kat, do you want to summarize any of that and tie it together with why you're running?
I just think that yeah, at the end of the
You
day,
had a
that's my
mom who was
favorite.
a real civil rights hero.
Huh?
Your mom was a real civil rights shero.
She did do some good things. She did
She
do some good
did.
things. I
And,
remember
and so how
being
did that form you and make you want to be in the legislature?
Well, it was so funny because she told me every day, it's not too late to go to law school. It's not too late to go to law school. It's not too late to go to law school. I'm like, all right, mom, okay. And I certainly, like most daughters, don't want to listen to their mothers, and she didn't like my hair straight like this either. So what do you do? But at the end of the day, I think what I would simply say is that, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You are who you were when. And both of my parents were actually very active, very in community organizing and in civil rights and equal right protections for all. And I remember, I have a nephew, who's kind of going through things, and he falls into all these little different groups of kids and stuff, and making fun of folks. And I was like, the one thing that I would say is that this is a household of tolerance and inclusion. Always has been, always will be. So you can cut that out right now. Like, we don't get down like that. That's not our thing. And that's just part of the rites of passage that boys go through. But that's the core of who I am and who, again, my family has been. I remember my mom coming home, actually, I remember when she finished college and she had an opportunity. She was so super, super smart. And she took the MCAT and the LSAT, and she passed ace both of them. And my dad was like, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to go to medical school or you want to go to law school? And she was like, well, I think I would like to go to medical school, but I think that I won't be able to spend as much time with my kids. So she decided to go to law school, and she went to, Georgetown University, and did exceedingly well, and ended up, pregnant with another baby before she was able to finish. So we spent time in both places. We'd be here with my dad building our house that you see behind me, and then we'd also, be in Virginia, while she was going to school, and again taking the bus and going with her. And it was a real struggle. It was just interesting times. I remember, on special occasions and birthdays, we get like the old buckets of KFC. That was like a big treat back then, just to have, because, you couldn't go out and eat. You had to eat in the house. And that was, all this whole world that we're in now is just like completely, completely different. It's interesting. But, and then I remember when we were here settled and she was working under Mr. Kaufman, at the AG's office, and she would come home and she'd have these briefs and so forth, and she would let me read some of them. And then even when she moved into the Human Rights Commission, she would let me read some of these, briefs that people would file, and it just really shaped my experience with folks. And I remember there were lawsuits about women who, weren't provided a space to use a bathroom when they were working for road crews. There were women that, were pregnant who had to leave their job, for the pregnancy, and then didn't have their job when they came back. And so those were things that,
I
I don't
had
know.
a case like that. I wonder if your mom was the commissioner. I had a case where a Black woman was not allowed to go to the bathroom on a construction.
It may very well have been.
What
And
a
so,
small
yeah.
world in
So,
West
those
Virginia.
type of things, I remember it. But I also remember my mom being burdened by the fact that, she felt like she wasn't as effective a mom as she wanted to be because of these briefs. And I think that was one of the reasons why she, transitioned from the AG's office. But, all that to say, that kind of spirit is just kind of in me. And, my father and his activism around environmental issues and fence line issues and environmental racism, looking at chemical companies. And, again, I have mentioned before about MIC being produced down here in Institute. Like, all those things are things that they just shape you. They just shape you, make you who you are. And, sometimes they just sit in you, and then sometimes they just bubble up. And so this run is a bubbling up, all the things that I've done for myself personally, the choices that I've made, and then the things that are just come through genetically, have sort of positioned me for this fight for the people. And that's all I'm about. This is completely non-selfish whatsoever. I mean, in my mind, I think that I could go live in Barbados and be on the beach and be okay and just kind of, just relax. But although that's attractive, that's not the purpose that I have in life. The purpose that I have is to actually give back to my community, to elevate it to a level where they are understood, where they're valued, where they're accepted, and that we can move this county and this state forward. There's too many people that are left, by the side of the road. There are too many voices that are not at the table. There are too many voices, too many hands that aren't able to even build tables. So I'm all about really equity across the board, diversity, about inclusion, about progress. And I just feel like I need to take up space there to make sure that that happens. And I hope that with enough votes, there'll be somebody that's going to champion, the people. And that's it. That's it. I'm so sorry.
That is so
I
beautiful.
ramble.
But I really
No,
want to hear Nikki and Anna. What
yeah.
But you gave us a new motto: Mountain Mamas take up space.
bubble up?
Hey,
Nikki, why don't you take it away?
Well, there is something about having the struggle through life that does shape your character and basically helps you tap into your own resilience as a person. And I'm one of those people. I'm not originally from the Charleston area or Cross Lanes. I moved here in 1990. I'm originally from Mingo County, a little place called Dingus. And the way I grew up was very poor, even for the area. And I have 10 brothers and sisters, hillbilly all the way, and no indoor plumbing, things of that nature. So it was sort of, I was in a place where I wasn't really thinking that I was all that, obviously. That's the sort of lifestyle that'll humble a person. But at the same time, I didn't really have anyone around me telling me I can't do something. So I didn't see any limits to what I could do. And I knew very early on that I wanted to go to college and that I wanted to study science. And now I'm a science teacher and a single mom and all of the struggles that go along with that. But I wouldn't give it up for anything. I really wouldn't.
Wow, that's an amazing. I can't wait to learn more. Anna,
One thing.
go to you next.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, my husband's standing next to me trying to make me laugh. So I guess I'll play off of what Nikki said about hardship. Sorry, he's dancing. He's not taking me very seriously right now. But I guess I'll play off what Nikki said about hardships making you who you are and helping shape you for this fight that we're about to embark on through the election. But a little bit about me is I'm born and raised in Huntington. Lived here my whole life. I have 3 children. I have a stepson, and then my oldest son is 13, and then I have a 10-year-old daughter who, the older she gets, the more I realize is why I'm trying to be the strongest woman I know how to be, which I had not anticipated. My mother was a strong woman. She was a teacher, and she was always very outspoken, worked a lot. She was the sole breadwinner in our family. So now I look at my daughter many times and I wonder if I appear weak, if I'm not teaching her the correct things about independence and what she needs to be looking for in her life, and empowering her to do whatever she wants to do. But I guess my hardships came as a child. My father was raised in an orphanage. He had I'm very big on, I won't say big, I'm very interested in and have studied in my own time for a long time, generational dysfunction, specifically child abuse and neglect, and how that affects generations. And I'm sure many of you are aware of it. at least some of it. But I started studying things like ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, which is becoming, thank God, a much more common word in everyday language and usage. But it really opened my eyes to a lot of the things that had been holding me back in life. It gave me a better picture of who my father was and why he was the way he was. But it molded me into a fighter. And not only that, but I don't want to say obsessed because it sounds terrible. I'm obsessed with children, mostly because they are the future, literally. And when I see them and when I speak to them and when I talk to them, they have the potential to be whatever they want. They have the potential to make this world whatever they want it to be. Hopefully better than me, hopefully better than you. So my election or my run in this election, I'm my tagline, I guess you would say, is as a mother, I'm trying to build a future for our children here. One of the biggest issues that I've been encountering, especially during my race speaking to other mothers and fathers, is that they're preparing their children to leave West Virginia. And we all know that we've been hemorrhaging people for years in search of better education, better job opportunities. And it doesn't have to be that way. And I think that if we focus on our children and what we want them to be and what we want them to have and what we want them to do, everything else will fall into place. It's the guideline, I feel like, for how we should create our state and what we should do here. And you can't go wrong that way. You look at children as far as how you want their education to be, then that's what we shape. If you look at what you want their job opportunities and the industries that they get to go into and the things that they may want to develop themselves, then that's what we should be doing and working for as far as our industries and our small businesses go. So that's my focus, and that will be my focus.
Well, all of you are incredible, and to run for office is no easy task. It is incredibly difficult. Fundraising is hard. It's even harder when situations like 2020 are happening. And so all of you are bringing something to the table that is so critical to the voices of all women and children in the state. And it's interesting, Anna, that you brought up, the decline. Since Republicans took control, the state has lost nearly 60,000 people. And enrollment in colleges has gone down by 15,000. So we are experiencing like you said, parents today, grandparents here in West Virginia are preparing their kids to leave because there's nothing to offer them here. And so what I always say is, why are we looking at outside corporations when we have so many amazing people and entrepreneurs right here in West Virginia? And small business is the backbone of our economy.
Well, that's a good segue in terms of one area where Democrats are way ahead of Republicans, Sarah, are in the request for absentee ballots.
Yes.
So if you want to find Mountain Mama's graphic on those dates, and you can speak up too, but Kayla Young, who made that graphic, informs us that tomorrow is National Voter Registration Day. So all the people you know who are working on getting out the vote and getting registration, the deadline for registering to vote is October 13th. That's coming up pretty quickly. Early voting is from the 21st to the 31st. That's trick or treat night is your last. That's easy to remember. We want you to vote more than once in a blue moon, but you got to early vote by the blue moon on October 31st. But absentee ballots can already be requested. You can go to your county clerk's office or go to govotewestvirginia.com, which is the official Secretary of State website, and you can fill that request in online, and they will get that to your county clerk. Well, no, that's not the graphic is the one that has all the dates.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Okay. And so while I'm back on, I looked up, you can look up the response at gowestvirginia.com, and I saw that they had mailed mine out on the 18th, so I received it today. You get a big package and a letter from your county clerk saying that you can get the write-ins upon request, a copy of your official ballot so that you can see who is running and talk to your friends and hopefully get to know the candidates before you fill it out. But to keep your ballot a secret ballot, there's an envelope number 1. After you vote, you put that in there, and then you put it in Kanawha County, at least, it is postage prepaid on the ballots, and I think by law it might have to be postage prepaid everywhere, and we'll keep you apprised of that, and we'll keep you apprised. I think you have to have it hand delivered to your county clerk the day before the election, or postmarked the day of the election, which of course is November 3rd. And Sarah, you want to give some of the other statistics that we got hot off the press as of September 21st?
Yes, so we're going to be talking here about absentee requests by age, by gender, and let me get this pulled up here for you all so that we can each see what I'm talking about. So this is absentee ballot request, absentee request as of today. And if we look here, we can go through each county, but we're just going to kind of give you a general idea here. But we've had 47,752 Democrats asking for absentee ballots versus 16,149 Republicans. And then do we have any independents, unknown, other?
12,311 no party.
Yeah, that's right. There we go. I missed that one. So total people who have asked for absentee ballots is 78,581. If we dig in a little further here, let's look at absentee ballots by age. And let's see if we can show you that next window.
Well, the old people are winning. So if you're young, you grab somebody by the hand and you help them get a request for an absentee ballot, because the 65 plus are way ahead.
Yeah, so here we have 18 to 24 Democrats, 4602, 25 to 34, 54. Let's see. Those percentages seem off to me.
I can't hardly see.
I can't
Okay.
believe you can see it at all.
The information that I've got, they don't have percentages, but one of the things that Justice Ginsburg would be happy about is that 10,000 more, 10,000, I don't have a total here, maybe even more than that, females have requested absentee ballots over the male. So right now we are way outnumbering males on being the ones that are most likely to vote.
Yeah, so let's now go to, let's look at that gender, shall we? And I'm going to see if we can't get it a little bit higher resolution here so you guys can see. My computer seems to be lagging a little bit today, but we'll make it work, right? All right, let's look at gender here. Male, Democrats, 18,913. Female, 28,627. No party, 5,883 male, 6,295 female. Republicans, male, 7,218, and female Republicans, 8,850. So when it comes to, this is big numbers here. We're really, Democrats are showing a really strong voting interest here.
I think it's interesting to me what it may, who knows what this means, but I think what it may mean is that women are trying to do what's safest and Democrats are trying to do what's safest. And they know that, by voting from home, that you're less likely to get the coronavirus.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Which has killed so many people in our state. We lost, I think it was 15 people were reported today.
Mm-hmm.
The numbers are terrible. And we have about 100,000 in Mon County. That 200,000 is double the number of people. But I want to just repeat a couple of things. If you want to vote absentee, you have to have a request. You have to fill out an application. You can get that from the Attorney General or from the county clerk in your county. And then you will be, hey, there she is. Then you'll be sent a ballot that you can vote at home, and you can either mail it in, or if you're paranoid like some of us, you can go down to the county clerk's office and drop it off. One thing to remember when you were talking about that, DL, about the two envelopes and everything, make sure you sign your absentee ballot. That's really, really important. And then if you want to, like you said, there are 10 days to early vote, and then on election day, you go vote at your regular precinct or polling place. So, and I really think you should vote for these three new candidates. So some company in the legislature. I think they would each be wonderful for different reasons. I mean, each will bring strengths and geographical diversity. I mean, we really, we need geographical diversity. We need gender diversity. We need all kinds of diversity around the state. So thank you guys for stepping up to the plate.
Absolutely. And just real quick, Susan Perry down in Logan says hello. Susan is running for office as well, and a very strong candidate, someone that if you're down in that area, take a look at. She has some great experience and knows the legislature in and out. So she's just going to hit the floor running. She won't have much need for a lot of learning ahead. So, Nikki, I did want to ask you really quick, as a teacher, tell me how things are going with the education part of school these days.
Well, as it is, I'm a science teacher, and typically my classroom is very dynamic. I like to do hands-on learning and philosophy. Our philosophy in Kanawha County is that science is a verb. It's something you do. And I've found that students learn much more easily, more efficiently that way, because these hands-on activities that I would typically do, it engages different parts of their brains, and it enables them to grasp the concepts, and it makes it easier for recall later on when they want to retrieve that information. So what I've been trying to devise is a way to get science kits, physically get them to our students, because, as good as remote learning can be, it can't do it all. It just simply is, it can be effective in a lot of different ways. I've found that when I'm lecturing and I'm online, it's wonderful. I have no disruptions. I don't have to stop in the middle of a sentence and write someone a hall pass to go to the bathroom.
That would be me. That would have been me.
They're not getting in my way. So I'm a little more efficient with the lessons. However, school isn't just about lecture and worksheets. It's about learning, teaching and learning, and education it's my life. It is my life purpose. So I'm hoping to get that going. I did a video yesterday with Jenny Anderson, and she hosted it for me so that I could present this information and my plan to do that. And I'd like to do it very, very soon. But so far, I think that remote learning has been going so much better than it did in the spring. In the spring, I had maybe 50% of my students participating, and now I'm about 90%
Wow.
of my students are participating fully. So I'm assuming that the ones that can't or aren't actually can't. And I'd like to get to those students as soon as possible. Get them the information they need.
And school and long distance learning is one reason why Susan Perry is really looking into the broadband planning here in West Virginia. And she hoped to be on tonight and promises she's going to be in a place with good internet next Monday. We're really glad that she is developing another expertise in the area of broadband, because it is just ever so important with this, increased dependency on remote everything. And Sarah might want to go back to the others of you, but I think I'll go ahead and sign off. I mean, I'll stay on, but just to say my goodbye, I just wanted to remind people that all 21 Mountain Mamas support each other. They are getting to know each other. They will be ready to hit the ground running as the 2018 Mountain Mamas did, and are a team that are ready to, I don't want a football analogy, so we'll just say they'll know how to play the game and get the work done. But I also wanted to wish everyone a happy equinox, because all of us have lost our equilibrium 100 times over the past few months. It is just very hard to feel balanced, but the planet will help you with that. We are, the sun is at the equator, and tomorrow is the first day of fall, and we are going to work as hard as we can over this fall season up through November 3rd to make sure that we have 21 Mountain Mamas elected, because I think you see the intelligence, the sensitivity, the awareness that these women will bring to the legislature, and 20 would be 1/5 of the House of Delegates. I mean, just think what a difference it would make if more Mountain Mamas get elected. So I thank you for being here tonight. We look forward to being back next Monday, and I'll just sit here until we sign off. But if we could all stay on to chat for a minute after. Thanks.
All right, DL, our fearless leader, always wise words and great wisdom sharing with us. It has been a difficult year. Anna, you're staying home with your kids right now for education. How is that going for you?
My kids are privileged. We have decent internet. I'm here a lot of the time to help. I volunteer a couple of days at the health department, but otherwise I'm basically here with them. I know other children are not so lucky. I'm pretty involved in our local schools, and I monitor a lot of what's happening with that. And that's not the case with many of the children. They've been having issues with the technology, with Wi-Fi access. The technology in particular, if they have the Wi-Fi access, they're having issues with the iPads that we're using and things like that. Of course, there's a learning curve. But otherwise, it's, it is what it is. I've talked about this before, but, my oldest deals with it okay. My youngest, she's always been pretty introverted, but COVID has definitely made an impression, not in a good way. She misses her friends. She struggles now. She told me the other day for the first time that she was having anxiety talking to adults when she goes to school. and they're only going a couple days a week, which I was proud of her for being able to articulate her feelings. But it's still difficult as a parent. You want them to be safe, but you also want them to be normal. That's not really the word I'm looking for, but you want a normalcy for them. So it's going as well as.
You know, I love how DL was talking about fall. Fall is my favorite season. And the reason for that is I love change. And I always have this optimistic hope that West Virginia will see significant change in terms of our economy, in terms of our legislature, in terms of every aspect where we really need to grow and change and evolve into our best Virginia possible. And so I love that analogy that let's, maybe this is the winds of change, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg carried this huge torch for all of us for so long, and now it's time for each of us to take a little piece of that torch and carry that with us everywhere we go, in her memory, to honor her, but also to carry forward through that mission of having more women at the table, having their voices heard. And obviously that's why we're here and talking about getting more women elected, getting more Mountain Mamas into the House.
Representation matters. It certainly does. And I love being a woman. That's the thing. With all of the struggles that comes with being female in West Virginia, I wouldn't give it up for being a male. I love being a woman. And I think that helps me truly love other women. And I would be happy to represent them in the legislature.
Well, and the camaraderie that I've seen among the sitting delegates, and Delegate Fleischhauer could certainly speak to this, is one, there is a lot of support for one another because there are so few of them that they got to support each other. They got to kind of stick together. So I think even if you go into the legislature after you're elected, you've got a strong support system and network there to basically, if you're new to the legislative arena, which some people really like that. They want new people. They want people who maybe aren't as schooled, but you've got people there that can kind of show you the ropes a little bit. And I think that's really unique in terms of so often we hear about women tearing each other down. But what I'm seeing in West Virginia, and it's so heartening, is that we are starting to pick each other up, and we're starting to say no more. We're going to start being heard and being seen and having our voices at the table when decisions are being made.
Yes.
Yeah, I just have an example. Our Democratic Women's Caucus just wrote a letter about how important it was at the federal level and at the state level to get funding for childcare. That is something that Anna and Nikki and Kathy, all of you would instantly understand. And we said that should be the top priority. Well, the other gender wouldn't say that, but you would instantly get, this is something that we need to work together on, because we can't have people being taken care of in the hospital unless their families are taken care of. So there are just so many issues like that where we need a little bit more numbers. And so I'm so grateful that each of you are going to, are stepping up and are going to join us, because there are issues like that never got talked about for years and years, or that just, there were a few of us with very lonely voices in the wind that weren't, but if we have more numbers, they'll be taken more seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so before I forget, mountainmamas.org is our website. If you want to learn more about these candidates, feel free to go and visit, and you can learn about all of them. And you can ask any of us questions. We are here to answer questions that you might have on issues that are important to you. ladies, we are at the 8 o'clock hour. I can't believe it went back that fast. But we're going to be here again next Monday night for another Monday with Mountain Mamas. And we hope you all join us if you're here live. So great to have you. If you're here on the replay, again, if you have questions, let us know. We're happy to answer them or delegate them to the right soon-to-be delegate. See what I did there?
Yeah.
But thank you all, ladies. Go fight, win.
Go fight, win.
See you all
Definitely.
later.
Good night, everybody.
All right,
Good night.
guys. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, DL.